Welcome to the second episode of Loud and Proud Orlando. This is Luis Carlos Pineda here from Air Sports Network. And right here to my right is Mr. David Valentin. This is our second episode. We're very excited to be here again with every one of you, every single city fan and Pride fan in the city of Orlando, the city beautiful. Well, today we have a lot of info. There's an important MLS Super Draft being held tomorrow. Orlando is going to be looking to add some pieces to the puzzle for this 2022 MLS season. David, how are you today?
Thoughts, prayers my way. For those that don't know, I unfortunately spent Sunday night and all of Monday in the hospital because I'm old, I'm fat, I'm not taking care of myself. But Orlando Health finally did something good for me other than uh, being on front of our jersey. And I'm here, so I'm home. I got discharged right on time to come home and talk about Orlando City in our second episode.
And well, we're going to start with, in high intensity, just like our midfield. Um, the MLS Super Draft, my friend, the Lions Super Draft. We've had four picks since we started here this journey into the Major League Soccer. And all four of them have soared and play now in a very high level. Ricci La Rea is now a part of a very historic club in England, the Nottingham Forest, right? A very historic club in England. And, Daryl Deke is signing with WBA, and then you have Chris Mueller, Hibernian, and then, somebody that I don't know if I should speak about. He left kind of in muddy waters, Mr.
He's a
Kyle
lion.
Aaron. Yeah, Mr. Kyle Aaron. What's your overview of this upcoming draft? What do we expect?
Well, I'll tell you what, we have been hitting high on the draft. We actually have more success than most of the teams that in MLS are considered the super clubs, according to Alexi Lalas. But we have seen that spending a ton of money on players not necessarily equals success. I took the liberty today. We're gonna go into that. I went over every single pick that we've had since 2015. Where are they now? What happened to them? Which ones were duds? Which ones were, superstars? But like Louis said, as of right now, we have four former Lions playing in Europe. And if you want to count players that not necessarily out of the super draft, but players that were in Orlando that are playing in Europe, well, our squad can say has been successful, and I can't wait to share what I found going through all these names because some of them are completely obscure to the fan base.
All right, and let's start with one of my. This is a player that should have never left Orlando City, in my opinion. Um, Richie La Rea. To me, this player. I mean, the potential that he has, he's gonna make big strides in Europe. I know for a fact he's definitely gonna make an impact. I think the Canadian football, the national team, Canadian national team, wins a lot with him playing in the high level in England. He should have never left, and this is, I think, when Orlando City was in the dark, right, with
Mm-hmm.
Christ and a front office that we didn't know what was happening. It's complete day and night of the Orlando City that we know and love now. That's why I always remind fans we need to remember the past to know what's coming up. We're actually in a better position
Absolutely, and
right now. We would have loved to have a Richie La Rea in Orlando City, right? I think he would have been phenomenal. What are your thoughts?
well, James O'Connor called this man not a
Uh-huh.
MLS caliber player, and this is a
Wow.
true statement. This is something that our friend Austin David in his podcast Orlando Soccer Show revealed. because he actually knew Richie personally. Richie's partner is from Orlando. Richie's son was born in Orlando. So his in-laws are here. He has a ton of friends. His connection with Central Florida, is eternal, and that's what James O'Connor told him. A little bit about Richie. Richie was our first pick in the 2016 draft. He was picked number seventh overall. Ricci La Rea came to us from the University of Akron. I believe this is in Ohio. He, at the moment, has 22 caps with the Canadian national team and just recently signed with Nottingham Forest in the English Championship, which is the second division of football in England. And just like Luis said, this is a guy that unfortunately we gave away simply because this is what happens when you have the wrong people in charge. They make hasty decisions. And as we go over the list between 2015 to 2020, you're going to see that this was just not particular of James O'Connor. Also, other managers make huge blunders.
Right, and he should have he should have never left. And again, we're in a different scenario now, and wish him nothing but the best. Um, in Nottingham Forest, I think he will always be, in my opinion, a lion. And I think when you talk to Richie, and this is something that I know personally too. I know Austin is good friends with him, but he loves his city. He was very hurt when he left. He didn't want to leave. And I think the year that he's had after leaving the city beautiful, it's been pure reivindication of his career. And I think he's definitely in a level that he's gonna definitely excel. And think about it. Look at that. Look at those backs that the Canadian national team has.
Mm-hmm.
Alfonso
Right.
Davis, a star in Bayern Munich, one of the best clubs in the world, right? And then Ricci La Rea, someone that we homegrown here. So just imagine that, right? So it's a lot of things to be proud about the Orlando product. I think if we would have had Oscar and his staff much faster or much sooner, I think Richie would have exploded even more.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the staff that Orlando currently has is that good that it's able to maintain a player like Nani, pretty much revalidating his career. I mean, think
Absolutely.
about it. I mean, when he came to the MLS, I mean, believe it or not, me knowing other leagues and watching other leagues and things like that, when Nani first came to Orlando City, I thought, okay, well, he kind of his career kind of went down in Europe a little bit, and when he met Oscar and he put that purple on, it was on, and he got injured a couple times, but he also got himself in top shape, and that is the work, not only the player and the type of player that Nani is, but also the staff around,
Absolutely.
the coaching staff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing could have happened to Richie, right? And unfortunately, those are terrible decisions. Way in better hands now. So, what other? I'm gonna go into the next person, and people can leave their comments if you do not agree. You can definitely go over and speak. And this is the second person we should be talking about. Somebody that to me, I saw him full blown. He was a beast, man. Whether we love him or hate him, he was a good player. He went to Besiktas and had a rocky path there. The beginning wasn't that great for him, but now he's the number nine striker there. So he's the striker at Besiktas. What are
Absolutely.
what are your thoughts on Kyle Aaron currently and in the past?
Well, Cal Aaron was the first pick overall in 2015. Cal Aaron was the our first pick ever in MLS. He came to us from the University of Connecticut. He has 44 caps with the Canadian team, and like we said, he's with Besiktas in Turkey, right now on loan in the Belgium league. Um, I know a lot of people, and I include myself at the time, we were just angry about the situation, the DUI, and all that. But there's a lot of things that we did not get to see. Kyle Aaron was a very young man, and I'm not gonna mention the name of the player because he's not here to defend himself. But the guy, everywhere you see him, it's just a bad influence on people. I mean, people hang out with this guy, they just get in trouble. I can tell you a story. One time after a game, my family and I went to get autographs after the game, and Kyle was there with this player, and there was two girls that were with them, and I remember my wife saying, "Those two girls are trouble. They're just not good companion. They're just gold diggers, basically what it is." And a few days later, he gets this DUI, and guess who's in the passenger seat? That same girl. So one of the things that was happening also at the time was there was a lot of bartenders that were Orlando City fans that were serving alcohol underage to most of the players, and also we're not cutting them off. There's plenty of cases of players defecating on themselves, urinating on themselves, screaming at people, saying, "Do you know how much I make? I make more money here in one game than most people in a year." And this situation, the club sort of swept under the rug, and a lot of fans, embarrassed that this was going to get out, kept sweeping this under the rug. With Kyle, Kyle continues to be the top scorer in our club, and not only that, um, when he was basically, in my opinion, hitting his stride, we fired a man, his mentor. We fired Adrian Heath, and then after that, when he thinks, okay, I'm gonna get my payday because I've been putting out the numbers, we go and we bring Dom Dwyer for $1.5 million a year, while the guy was making less than $200,000. That will anger a lot of people. The way he did it, okay, was dirty. I remember Alex Leitao, our past CEO, finding out on Twitter that this was going on, that he was leaving the club. I thought that was super embarrassing to show the league that our front office has no control and doesn't know what's happening under their own roof. And he left. He had to do what he had to do. At the time, I was angry, and I just sent nasty tweets to him like everybody else. But with time, I have seen that there's no blameless parties here. Maybe he could have done it a different way, but at the same time, he was being disrespected. And we know how Dom Dwyer ended up in Orlando, and the news about Dom Dwyer this week being bought out of his contract after being traded to Dallas. So at the end, time has given Kyle Aaron has proven him right.
Right. To me, the whole personal situation. It's the players' situation. I really don't have any comments about that. Be honest with you. What I care about is how he plays, and I think his game was good for Orlando. It was great. I remember going to games, and the only thing we were looking forward is a pass and a score from Laren. It was the same feeling in a way of when people have now with Daryl Dike. In a way, I think Daryl is a superior nine in my opinion. I
Hmm.
think Daryl is out of. I mean, he's going to give the United States a lot of happy moments. I'm sure in the future. And let's read some comments from the people.
Absolutely.
There's a couple of comments here. It says here, Joshua Tall, do you think we'll trade up and try to get Yotun?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. It says in Spanish, Robert Malco Oficial is an outlet that I work on in Peru as well. It says, hi Pineda, and you know, good,
Success media
yeah,
support.
good success in this project. Leave your like and subscribe, definitely. And he puts in English, his place in the world for Yotun and his family is in Orlando. Yeah.
I agree.
Then Jim D. I want to say hello to Jim D. He says, those were the dark, dark days, my friend. Cancerbero 88 says, saludos Pineda. Says, hi Pineda, how you doing, sir? Joshua Talia, true. And Jesus, Jesus, me imagino, no? Right? Jesus or Jesus Gamundi. Ricci La Rea was horrible in Orlando City. He couldn't make a single pass or shoot at the goal. Y'all are talking with Monday's newspapers. What are your thoughts on that,
Well,
Dave?
there was a side of Richie that we never got to see during
That's right.
the OCB era. He was probably one of our best players in that team. Also, once OCB went away in that hiatus year, which was 2018, um, we had what was called the Sunday League. Sunday mornings, all the players that were reserves will play a game against different teams, mostly USL sides, academies, and things like that. And that's where Ricci cut the rug and got much better. I agree. When he was let go, I was like, okay, well, he wasn't that great. But as time has gone by, we see that it's mostly because of the coaching. They did not use
Right.
him properly. They didn't exploit his strengths. And again, the person that told this man, "Hey, you are just a USL player," is no longer with the club. Is no longer in MLS. Ricci La Rea went on to win Eastern Conference Championship, an appearance in MLS Cup. Has been with the Canadian team doing wonders. Canada used to be a team that everybody wiped their feet with them. Even the little islands will
That's
go
right.
to Canada.
That
I'm
is
old enough to
100% true.
remember Canada losing to Bermuda 12-0 and 12-0. So that's something to really think about it. Yeah, I mean, Jesus is right in the fact that he wasn't a world beater here, but we never gave him the opportunity.
Right, we never give him a chance, and then to be honest with you, and I don't know if a lot of people will agree with me or not. Maybe I'm getting myself in trouble here, but Jason Christ is a horrible coach, man. I honestly don't
Absolutely.
care what people say. I mean, you can go and find me fine on Twitter. Jason Christ is a terrible coach. I mean, I go and look to a different leagues, and there's so much better coaching. You know, I think me and you, we could be better coaches than Jason Christ.
Luis,
And then,
after
when it comes to I'm talking about the guy from Minnesota, Inchi, right?
Adrian, yeah.
I don't even want to mention him because, and the reason why it's honestly, look, USL is a different level than MLS, and and he failed. I mean, and Minnesota, you see a different side of him and things like that. But in Orlando City, he failed, and I honestly didn't see what he left for the next person to take over and set the seats. I know right now, if a new coach comes to Orlando City, there are seats planted.
Mhm.
There's a youth academy. Oscar Pereira has his team. There's a core. I know that. I never see that with that coach.
Mhm.
And again, we were poaching recycled players from other teams, and
Mhm.
he just couldn't put one together, and Orlando was just disastrous. It was just
Absolutely.
disastrous. And honestly, yes, great respect, Stoke City, great. But and that's perfectly fine with me. USL, he did great things in USL with Orlando City. But I mean, we're talking about MLS, and I don't blame why some players kind of in a way didn't even want to play for Orlando while he was the coach or even after he left. So I'm just saying, guys, let's keep reading some comments here. This is here. Jim D always talked down Laren, saying he was just a poacher. He was lucky to be in the right spot. I was wrong. It takes a lot of skill to be in the right spot and poach like that. What do you think about that, Dave?
Well, I mean, look at what happened in 2018 when this man was not around. It was our darkest hour, our lowest amount of goals scored, our highest amount of goals conceded. It was just a complete disaster. People were like, "Ah, Laren, you're lazy. You're just." I mean, that's what he is. He's just, he has a style of play. He's definitely not. He's not Daryl DK. He's not an imposing guy, but he was a very skillful player that always found himself in front of goal. And if you guys remember, Kyle Aaron wasn't supposed to be what he turned out to be. He was just a player that we drafted because we had to draft first. We went, took this guy. Our strikers were going to be um, Carlos Rivas,
Ay, 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 Carlos Rivas.
Patterson,
Ay, Jesús.
Patterson, uh,
Ay.
the Honduran guy. His name
Oh,
escapes my.
Darwin Seren.
No, 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 no. That
No?
was from El Salvador. This guy was from
Ay, ay,
Honduras.
ay.
He now plays for Nacional in the first division of Portugal. Um, if his name comes up, I'll remember it. So probably somebody screamed that name in the comments. Well, that guy, the reason why we went with Kyle Larin at Portland, out of all teams, Portland at the time was on fire,
On fire.
on fire, on fire, and and I believe they ended up winning the championship that year. So there you go. And
Oh, Nocherino, Nocherino. There you
no,
go.
that's for
No,
another year.
that's a
That was
different.
2016. But the reason why we ended up going with Kyle Aaron was because that Honduran player that I'm talking about went on a U20 tournament in New Zealand, lost his passport, and it took him 2 months to get back to Orlando. Patterson, which he was also nicknamed Pato, oddly enough, he just got hurt, and we just didn't have anybody. And Carlos Rivas was out of shape. You know why?
Uh,
This is a rumor. I don't know if it's true. This is when Carlos Rivas got his first baby mama pregnant, and there was a commotion, a fight, because he ended up kicking her out with the baby to put baby mama number two in the apartment. I'm telling you, this is the type of mess.
and that's something that
Right? It's rumor. It's
he
you
was a
know,
horrible player.
yeah, it was a horrible play. So
He
what
was he
happened?
was he was a terrible player.
So what happened is we have a Kyle Aaron in front of goal, across from Kevin Molino, and the legend of this man is born. And after that, is he had a brace that day. So these are the type of things, we brought this guy as a throwaway player, and and just turned out to be a jewel, and we just did not treat him right. And Roches, thank you, Jesus. Roches,
Oh,
Brian Roches,
Roches. Oh,
Brian
Brian
Roches.
Roches. Brian Roches. Oh my
Yes, yes.
God.
Who has done
What
very
a
well in Portugal, but I mean, Nacional, for all of you guys, it's in the island of Madeira, which is close to the African coast. It's basically like saying Alaska in the United States in relation to Portugal. And he's been doing okay there, but it's not one of
right.
the biggest clubs in Europe either.
This is Jesus Gamundi says, agree on the problem with Richie was the coaching staff. Yeah, you're right. Brett Carl says La Rea would fit better now in our current system. That's right. I completely agree. I think Oscar Pareja would love to have a player like this in his squad.
Hmm.
Joe Pa, Orlando fans want a player to be a star immediately, no matter their age. Larea needed time, like many players do. Patience is needed with young players. I believe in that. But I also believe that some players are, it's all about the mind, right? So
Hmm.
at Daryl Dike, I mean, and again, this is going to sound so preposterous, but at Daryl Dike comes five in 20 years, man. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I mean, he was born with the right mindset. He's a tank, right? He knows how to play. In the 1v1, he's a killer. His last goal was great. It was a 1v1 he created himself.
Hmm.
He's not afraid of facing whoever is in front of him. But we also have a lot of players with a lot of skill that are not right up here. And I can name them. One of them is Jefferson Soteldo, for example. A guy he creates plays with his feet like nothing. The problem is here. Another one, Christian Cueva from Peru national team. Once upon a time, a target from Orlando City. Again, great player, not here. He needs to play in a system that he won't have any indiscipline. He's a
Hmm.
very he had a lot of indisciplines.
And
Partying and stuff. So I mean, I think players. I mean, that says a lot. And I mean, and look what the United States is building. I mean, I mean, Orlando City is building a great academy, no doubt. But what the United States is building is phenomenal. I mean, a player like Ricardo Pepe leaving the league for 20 million. Who would have thought, right?
Exactly, and that's a product chiseled by the hand of Oscar Pareja. And since you have there on the screen Chris Mueller, Chris Mueller was selected number 6 overall, first round in 2018, a forward out of the University of Wisconsin. By the time he hung the boots here in Orlando, had 112 appearances with Orlando and had 2 appearances with the U.S. national team in friendlies. Right now, he's with Hibernian. Chris is a player that came with some deficiencies. Unfortunately, he came at the tail end of the Jason Christ era and then went with James O'Connor. But his best seasons, his best appearances, his best goals, his best everything happened under Oscar Pareja. And I know that a lot of guys have their differences when it comes to Chris. That he didn't have a great season last year. We can all agree in that. But Chris is the type of guy that you need in a locker room. A positive guy,
Yeah,
a guy that works
strong
hard.
minded,
Yeah,
strong
absolutely.
minded.
The guy just got married last year. He wasn't a guy that was into trouble, into gossip. This dude was always working out, loving the play. Loving to play here, loving the fans. He always remember you, no matter how many times he had not seen you. I mean, Chris is the type of guy that sometimes in players, yes, talent and football quality is important, but the integrity of the individual says a lot because this is what keeps the unity of the locker room when things are not going right. And I think that Chris has left a big footprint in our club. Certainly with me, I read his book, Bet on Yourself.
Oh
I think
yeah.
I think his philosophy is fantastic. And if you haven't read it, I invite you to do so. But like I said, individuals like this are critical. If you look at a corporation, you have to have guys that are executives, but you also have to have guys that are the cleaning crew. Everybody's important. Everybody's critical. Years ago, Will Johnson used the analogy of the piano carriers and the piano tuners and the piano players. Everybody either has their job. Obviously, the highlight is the piano player, but the piano has to get there somehow, and the piano has to sound right. And that's usually what happens. We have players that contribute in little pieces. Not the guy that scores the goal, not the guys, the flashy guys, but we need those type of role players. And I believe Chris Mueller was that type of player.
Chris Mueller, give me Chris Mueller 2020 Chris Mueller. That's the Chris Mueller I want to see at Hibernian. I'm sure and I hope that he has a bet is a better Chris Mueller than the 2020 season. That Chris Mueller was phenomenal. I mean, it was a player that you said had everything to succeed in a club. I think this last year it was just a matter of injuries, and then competing also with other players that just joined the team, and then the whole people talking about him leaving to Hibernian, and then kind of sometimes that takes its toll, right? I don't really blame him. I think he gave he gave a lot of City fans a lot of to cheer for, and a lot of smiles in people's faces. So
Mhm.
I wish him nothing but the best to Chris Mueller. That to me, he's definitely going to get far. And yeah, I mean, his book is phenomenal. I think he definitely is gonna succeed in Hibernian. A small club, yes, in Scotland, and but he's playing in a football that its nearest neighbor is the Premier League, and he can definitely be if he does a phenomenal season and scores similar numbers to his 2020 season. I can see him in right before the next World Cup, swooped in the Premier League, playing for like Watford or for Southampton, or Definitely,
Mhm.
for sure. I think he's a player that can definitely make an impact when he's provided with the tools in the mid, right? And I think Orlando, he bonded so well with that mid. I mean, and that's one thing that I praise Orlando staff and the players too. They all speak different languages, and they all are like understand each other and how they play, just perfectly. And like I said, that 2020 version of Mueller, I will never forget it. I will never forget it. Let's continue reading some comments here. It says Victor Rivera. It says since Laren left, we didn't have a great striker until Dike came on board. That's right.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Absolutely, and I agree. This is Victor Rivera. Bring back Adrian Winter. Oh,
He
geez.
retired last year,
Oh
unfortunately.
my God.
He's 36 years old, guys.
Jim D says here, Asquez. Yeah, Asquez was, you know, I mean, Asquez went down, went downhill. I don't know if you guys know the story, but so Orlando wanted to renew him for one more season, and he chose Alianza Lima. He chose to go back to Peru. And when he got there, again, a difference between the United States and South America is that, and one thing that in a way works for players like Carlos Asquez is that when he goes to Starbucks in the United States, he's just another Joe Schmo, right?
Hmm.
But when he goes to Starbucks in Peru, oh my God, Asquez, sign my shirt, Asquez. And girls get around him, Then you have people, hey, come over to my house, or hey, blah, blah, blah. So he surrounded himself with, unfortunately, bad friends, just like any young kid, right? And he just essentially got signed with Alianza Lima with a lot of big money. Alianza Lima put more money than Orlando City for his renewal, right? They put more money on the table for him. He
Hmm.
left, picked Alianza Lima, and then a lot of Orlando City fans were upset and things like that. And I totally understand. He had a lot of potential, and then his career went downhill because Alianza Lima is the biggest club in Peru, and they have the biggest fan base. They are the number one team over there, and with the most history and the most respect from the region. And he was part of the team that almost sent them to the second division, to the championship. He almost goes down with the club, and he had a terrible season. He got injured several times. He got caught drinking and doing all this stuff, and his career turned down, and he was literally he now plays in a little small club that no one cares about over there, and his career was heavily impacted. And he still remembers Orlando with a heavy heart, right? Because what would have happened if he would have taken that renewal? What would have happened is he would have had that 2020 season with this squad. And imagine a Carlos Asquez with that 2020 squad.
Oh
I,
my goodness.
I think Orlando City would have been probably closer than ever to the Holy Grail. I think, and he would have probably be in the national team right now, training with Galese and Yotun and Flores. He would have been right there. And one bad decision just turned it around for him. It's so sad to hear about that, but it is the truth. And right now, he's just playing poorly. I mean, he's a shadow of what he used to be. So Jesus Gamundi, Dom Dwyer is another one that is not right in the head. That's for you, Dave. I believe that's right.
Yeah, well, again, Dom is hanging out with that player that I mentioned with Kyle. Dom made a stupid mistake personally. He's getting a divorce, like everybody knows. That will affect you. He has two young children. I know that that gets into his head. Anybody that has had the misery of and the public humiliation of going through a divorce, as I have, knows that it just interferes with your career, interferes with everything. The difference between Don Dwyer and I is when I had a bad day at work, maybe two or three people knew about it. In his case, millions know about it. Um, I some people have been telling me, hey, I think that the game has surpassed Dom Dwyer. Perhaps that's the case. Has he has the talent? Maybe he didn't score any goals with Toronto, but Toronto was an awful squad under awful management. So I wish him the best. I hope he gets back. He finds a
Yeah.
team. He does something for his sake because he's about to give up half of his money, and he's gonna have two mouths to throw child support at.
And you say that
And
while I'm wearing a pride hat. Thanks. Thanks,
yeah, well,
man.
that's unfortunately, I always say there's always a person inside that jersey that lives a life that is not 90 minutes constricted to those 90 minutes. So, I mean, but again, he made a decision and now he has to accept the consequences of it.
Let me tell you something. But when it comes to Dom Dwyer, he was never gonna provide what he gave in the USL for Orlando, and I think that Orlando was very foolish. And I'm so sorry to say this, to pay that much for a player like Dom Dwyer at that point.
I was there. I know.
And that was a whole different era and a whole different administration. And you know again, you learn as a club by your mistakes, just like a person, right? You learn by your mistakes. And I think he was one of those. I mean, he's definitely a good, no one doubts his commitment and his love for the sport. And but unfortunately he was never going to deliver. I mean, USL football is different than MLS. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
just it's just a different level. And
Listen, if,
for
if anybody wants to know why Don Dwyer had the hype that he had, I invite you to go on YouTube and watch the 2013 USL Championship. You can watch the whole game in its entirety. We broke the record of of attendance to a minor league soccer game in the United States with 21,000 souls that night. And Don Dwyer came on a one-game loan because Long Tan, our striker, who was a fantastic player, by the way, he last I heard, he was back in China in the Super League there. Got a red card. We didn't have a striker, and we knew that MLS was going to be watching this game. And Dom Dwyer came and scored 4 goals in a game that ended 7-4. Okay, 7-4. All right, so think about it. If you remove the 4 goals that he had, probably we would have lost that game. And who knows what would have happened? But Dom Dwyer is the only player in our history of a sport that won the USL and the MLS the same year. And not only that, he was the MVP of the game.
mm,
So we owe our presence to MLS to Don Dwyer, and I have always said I eternally grateful. I'm not gonna bow mouth the guy. He's just going through whatever it is that
yeah,
he's going
that's right.
through. But we owe him a debt of gratitude. Anybody would have been, hey, oh, Orlando. Well, you know what, Orlando, I'm back with Kansas City. I'm scoring goals. Why will I go back? But he loved the city. He loved the fans, and he felt a debt of gratitude to Adrian and to the Rollins, and he came back and he gifted us that championship.
That's right. And wish him the best as well, to Dom Dwyer. Evaristo says, "Hi, Mr. Pineda and David. When will you put subtitles in Spanish? My English is basic." Here's another avid fan from Ladra del Fútbol, Evaristo. That's a good point. I will work on that. I don't know how to do it yet on YouTube, but I'm sure I'll find out. I'll read the manual for you. Thank you, my friend. Victor Rivera says Chris was a passionate player and played with his heart until last year. Uh, Avaos, it says it's really unfortunate the way his tenure ended, but I still think Mueller is one of the most important players in our club's history. I do agree.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Jesus Gamundi says, I think the problem with Mueller is his agent. um, Victor Rivera, Chris is a passionate player and played with his heart in every game. When he played bad, you saw it. Last year wasn't his year. That's right. Thomas Dupree. I want to say hello to Thomas Dupree. He says, I remember thinking he was trying too hard, didn't look comfortable. He's lost focus this past season, and
Mm-hmm.
he wishes him the best.
Because he had
Uh,
Hibernian looking, so of course, yeah.
That's right. Leandro Fonseca says Orlando should have renewed his contract after the 2020 season to a 3-year deal and pay the increase. That was for Asquez. I agree
Oh,
wholeheartedly.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
agree. I agree
More bad
wholeheartedly.
decisions of the Nikki Budalik era.
That's right. Because you imagine that mid Asquez Urso. Just all I'm saying, and I think that was one bad decision. And he always regrets it. I mean, I know for a fact he talks to people around and it spreads the word, and he regrets making that. He wish he would have taken less money and stayed here. His career would have been different.
Hmm.
It says here, or Jesus Miguel Mogollon, it says Orlando City should look into Peruvian soccer players due to the good feats of Yotun and Galese in the previous years, right? I
Hmm.
think it's a good market to tap into. There's a lot of talent there, and I think it plays good in a club that has a structure of a youth structure, right? Like Orlando City.
Absolutely.
Like if you have a Peruvian player going to Inter Miami, it's not gonna. I don't really recommend that. You have to have some sort of youth um, infrastructure, and I think Orlando has it. Yopa, ha, Alex Morgan was hanging out with the same bad influence, wasn't she? I think that's for you, Dave.
Yeah, she was out. I mean, it what an embarrassing moment that players of this club got banned from Epcot um, for being drunk and disorderly. Again, this was back in a time where it was the Wild Wild West in our front office, and we had players getting arrested. We had all sorts of situations outside of the pitch. I'll leave it there.
And well, we're switching gears here. Yotun to the MLS. Will he be back in purple? That is the latest from Yotun, and then after this, we'll talk about a little bit of Facundo Torres. We have some
Absolutely.
information. Um,
Absolutely. The thing that we know about Yoshimar Yotun is a formal offer from Orlando City was presented to the players' representatives. Obviously, Yoshimar is gonna do what's best for himself and his family, his wife and his two kids. There's a lot at stake here because they have friends in Central Florida. They were very attached to the Peruvian community here. His son Valentino was born in Orlando while
yeah.
he was playing the World Cup. His daughter really liked it here, and from what I hear, obviously Luis is the Peruvian resident expert, but the Yotuns really liked it here. The only reason why, because I spoke with Yoshimar that last game, and they were super excited. They were very happy as a family here. His mother-in-law lived with them. He basically left because Cruz Azul gave an offer of $4 million. Orlando matched it, and he left because he didn't want to play for James O'Connor. He felt that a player of his pedigree, a World Cup player, was above James O'Connor. Time has proven him right, and they went to Mexico. The Mexican fan base and league are not as kind as it was here. Just like you said, Luis, they have that anonymity. If I'm getting myself ahead, but when you look at video of Facundo Torres cannot leave his house without people taking pictures of his car. He had a fender bender a couple of days. People were saying, "Oh, he was driving drunk. He was taking drugs. All sorts of things." This guy's life in Uruguay is under a microscope, and here he's gonna have the freedom of going to Walmart at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and nobody's not gonna know who he is.
No, right. The quality of life in the United States, I think it's the best quality of life that you can have in the world. I honestly will say that strongly. And you have also your green card, you right, and there you're able to bring your family over if that's something that you want to do.
His son is
And
an American citizen, so
correct. His daughter is an American citizen, and just personally, I think Yotun is a fantastic player. I think again, I would have if I would have been in his shoes, I would have not wanted to play for James O'Connor either. I thought that was a huge mistake, and again, you learn from it, right? And he started really good in Cruz Azul, and he had a Peruvian coach, Juan Reynoso, there, and motivated him to keep going, and and he they won the cup, right? They won after 20 years of not winning anything.
Mm-hmm.
They finally won the big one, and he was part of that team, but coming as a sub. So that tells you that he was coming as a sub for the majority of the season. Um, in the MLS here, he was respected. He was one of the players that had the best, um, completed passes in the league.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty much a cornerstone of one of the best players that Orlando City had at that time
In the league.
in the league. In my opinion, he came from a great season with Malmo with in Sweden, and I think Orlando City came perfectly into his life, taking that good momentum to the World Cup with Peru. Right after 30 years, I'm not going to the World Cup. Peru finally qualifies, and he's part of that historic squad. So, you know, I see it like this. And again, you can tell me otherwise, Dave, but he's gonna be part of the allocation list, right?
Correct.
And he could be Orlando's 18th, and Orlando's gonna try to trade up to Inter Miami spot, which is the number one,
Mm-hmm.
and then Orlando can either pick Yotun or pick whoever they want, or at that point. But the whole matter of the fact is that, and again, and I accentuated this in Peruvian media today because it's not talked about, is that Yotun is definitely coming to the MLS. I think there was some rumors him having some offers in Mexico. There was some rumors having some offers in by Racing Club in Argentina, and the Argentinian money it's devalued, right? They pay in pesos there,
Right.
and some interest from Brazil, but not concrete offers. So I think him and his family want to be back in the league. I mean, Dave, what's the impact you think your team will make? And do you believe? And this is what I believe, and I'm going to leave it to you. I'm going to pass the ball to you. If let's say we make an effort for your tune, let's say we trade up to third, and it falls on our lap again, we get your tune. Don't you think that's a little bit better now that Yotun is in the team to kind of negotiate with Galese? Because it kind of ties up because they are really good friends in the national team. Their wives know each other. They go
Mm-hmm.
shopping together. Their kids know each other. So don't you think that's a little bit more of a pool for us to kind of say, hey, Galese, they're gonna pay you $1 million there, but here you have what we can offer you as a club, the freedom. Your friend is here. Come on, man. We're gonna pay you 800,000. You're gonna
Yep.
be the best paid goalkeeper in the MLS. Bye bye, Brad Guzan. You know, you're gonna be the best paid player. So is that what's cooking, Dave? I mean, what do you think?
Well, in my opinion, Yotun has the privilege and the experience that Pedro doesn't have, which is to have experience MLS, left MLS, seeing the grass is not really greener on the other side, and wanting to return. Pedro, for by all accounts, his family loves it here. He loves it here, but he wants to secure a future for his family. I cannot blame him. Player's career is short. You're always an injury away from everything coming to crash down. Uh, Before we recorded, I told you about my experiences in that part of the world and how difficult it would be for his wife and daughter to live in that type of environment. And in all honesty, he who wouldn't want to have two Peruvian nationals, internationals in this team? I think Yoshimar Yotun under Oscar Pareja is gonna be a smooth operator. Under James O'Connor, he had moments of brilliance, but were moments of brilliance that he had to pull himself out from his chest because we didn't have the proper coaching. I saw a comment somewhere where the person was saying that James O'Connor and Don Dwyer were hype signings to get the USL old timers interested in the team, and I agree 1,000%. Yoshimar Yotun is a World Cup player, one of the best midfielders in the world, and if he wants to come back to Orlando, that's one of the biggest differences. When you look at Facundo Torres, we're finally experiencing a young guy with a lot of ceiling saying, I want to be a Lion. Beautiful, great. But to see a guy that has nothing to prove to nobody, that is at the pinnacle of his career, saying, I want to return to Orlando. Out of all the clubs, he has played for some fantastic clubs. Out of all those clubs, he wants to come back to Orlando. That speaks volumes. That says a lot about you, Lewis, about me, about all the guys in the chat, all the guys that are going to be watching this show later on, because it's the fans that wins players over, and that's at the end of the day, it's us, the city, the all the attractions, everything that makes it extra special for somebody to come play. These guys can go kick the ball anywhere in the world. The clock is 90 seconds. The grass is green anywhere in the world. The fact is that in that 120 yards by 75 yards, there's there's a world, but outside of it, what's the quality of life for my children? What's the quality of life for myself? What can I do when I'm off? And those things in Orlando are selling points for players with families. We may not be as attractive as Miami or New York for single guys, but for guys with families, this is the place to come.
Right, and people were asking in the chat, where would Yotun play if he's drafted, right? So Yotun can play the left back. I think everybody knows he can play that position. He hasn't played it in a while though, but I am. He can also his habitual position in Cruz Azul and in Peru is this one right here. He is a midfielder. He's an offensive midfielder. I will say, you just think about this. You have, he could play either. He could play either here, or he could play here, either right or left. And I would, if I'm Orlando City, I'll go like this. I'll go Mendes. He plays a six in Ecuador. I'll go Urso here, and then I will go Yotun right here. You imagine that midfield right there? Now you have now Araujo, right? Now, if you wanna, you have a lot of depth now in that mid, right? I would put
Hmm.
him personally as a mid. Now you can put him as a left back too. I think he's gonna have to adapt to playing the mid in Peru, because in Peru he plays the mid. He doesn't play the back. Here in Peru, there's a guy by the name of Marcos Lopez from San Jose Earthquakes that he's playing superbly on that side. So I would see him Yotun either here, or I would see him in the left right there, offensive midfielder. I don't see him as a six. I don't see him as a defensive midfielder, because that's not his
A
position. He
waste of his
doesn't.
talent.
Right. And I also, some games we could see Urso here and Mendes here. I mean, that's the polyfunctionality of each player,
Hmm.
of these two right here. Now, if you want to have Araujo can go here also. And then you can also have Araujo um, right here. So, and there's videos that you can see that I'm not going to put in because it's copyrighted, of Araujo actually cutting. He leaves his spot. The other player here goes into his position. He cuts and runs the wing, you know, and
Hmm.
attempts the pass. So that's the type of player, and that's the type of depth that Orlando is
A
actually.
lot of people forget that Yotun's crossing ability is deadly. He's very good at what he does. Unfortunately, defensively, he didn't have a good goalkeeper to complement him. I mean, we always think of uh, Joe Bendick as this showstopper, but I mean, he was just a guy forced to do Herculean efforts because our defensive back was trash. But I'll tell you what. I mean, that I will put. Some people were asking for Pereira. Pereira's a 10, uh,
Right.
a natural 10. So you put him right in the middle. You got Pato who plays the false nine as we discussed last time. I mean, our midfield is plug and play, and that's the beauty. We
Right.
can configure our midfield depending on the rival that we have. And that so this is why, guys, this is why it's so critical that tomorrow we pick the right pieces, and also in all the other opportunities that we may have to pick players to come up with a bench that comes and supports the efforts of the
That's right.
starters. Because, like we discussed on last Saturday, in the past we had an abysmal difference between the starters and the bench, and we can't have that anymore.
Plus,
Um,
plus, you want to have fresh legs, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to it so people could see. So you have to have fresh legs. So if when you have depth, there's gonna be times that Pereira is gonna have to be benched depending on the rival. So if you have a rival like NYCFC right now, they're the MLS champs, let's say, right? Their attack is superb. Obviously, if they keep Tati Castellanos, they already got rid of Medina. So I mean, they have a couple of losses here. We don't know what kind of moves they're going to be making. What other team, like Seattle Sounders, for example, let's say, right? So there are times that you're not going to play with a 10. Believe it or not, there's depends on Oscar. You know, my personal preference is a 4-4-2 always. That's just
mhm,
the way I love to play. It's
yeah,
it's it's a 4-4-2.
I like the attacking. Yeah.
Like this, right? And I mean, I like to play that way myself, like that. And then here at top we will have, I mean, question mark, because question mark. Here we could have Mauricio if he wants to play right behind the.
Right.
It
There's
would
a
be a it,
question.
right. It would be a 4-4-1-1 at that point. Or if it's another striker, I mean, Facundo Torres could play that, but I see him more as the wing.
There was a question, Luis, about who's the best player or playmaker. I believe it was Jesus that asked the question between Pereira and Yotun. See if you can find it, because
Well,
unfortunately,
I see. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, if you're talking about numbers, Yotun for sure. I
right,
mean,
right.
right,
I see them as two different players.
right,
Pereira's more of in Spanish,
attacking.
right?
Yeah,
In
he's
Spanish we say gambetero. The guy that just beats the
right. He
channel.
a lot of fakes, he has a lot of 1v1 prowess. He's
Right.
gonna break your ankles. He's gonna try to do a little nutmeg here and there.
And that's your Wilfredo Rivera, which obviously these are guys that are still yet to be seen on the pitch. And he plays that style, and we see a lot of Facundo Torres in that style as well. I believe it's my personal opinion that Mauricio is this year is going to be playing a role of mentor for a lot of these midfielders that we are having, these young guys.
Well,
And it's gonna be great because we have to plan into the future. It's great to win a championship this year, but also we have to plan ahead when most of these guys move on, because I mean, like, again, players don't last forever, as we have seen with Daryl DK leaving this year, and Nani, and all that. So it's important to remember that we always have to be planning ahead, even if at the time doesn't make a lot of sense.
so this could be another option. I mean, if you want to give Mendez a couple of days to recoup, again, that's a good thing about depth, and I think that's one of the things that we had a lot of injuries this season, last season. We had the sub of the sub of the sub playing at some point. We have Mikey Holiday on the wing. He did a great job in a couple of games, but it is an experienced player. He's not in the level of what we have, of what you need to have in a defense right now for the MLS. In my opinion, he's not ready yet. But you have this type of depth, and you can just plug and play, right? I mean, Yotun can play the left back. You imagine this right here, like Yotun Torres on the left.
Hmm.
I mean, just like that person just put the comment right here. he would be. I mean, it would be great, right, to see him play. And also, it tells Ricardo Gareca and his staff here at the Peruvian national team. Look, you have an option here also in case Marcos Lopez goes down. Yotun can actually play you know that position too now, and he's used to it because plays it in Orlando. Now the only thing is, now there's gonna have, if he plays the left, left back position, where's Kyle Smith gonna go, because he can play right and left. Is he gonna have a spot, right?
Hmm.
So those are the things you have to take into consideration. But the good thing, guys, is that we're getting a lot of depth, and I personally believe that we should definitely try to get closer to acquiring Yotun, in my opinion. But of course, I would love for him to be in the team.
Absolutely.
With Galese for sure. But let's see how it goes, right?
Hmm.
Right. So I guess we're gonna just switch to the super draft. What are some of the potential targets that we're getting,
Well,
David?
to be honest with you, there was a bunch of players um, that we were linked to. Unfortunately, it looks like I probably left that note at the hospital. So w- I can tell you this: we are picking 18th in the first and second and third round, and every draft, a mock draft, has us picking strikers. I believe we're gonna go with three strikers. That doesn't mean that any of these guys are gonna be our DK substitute. What this means is, I believe, and I talked to Luis about this, that we're probably gonna go with an experienced number nine, and we are going to pick guys that are going to be understudies, guys that can come in for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, guys that can fill in for open cups and things like that. Um, we obviously, and before the show's over, I'm gonna go over the list of all the players that we have picked in our history and where they are right now. It's gonna take 2 minutes to say all these names, but you're gonna see that in some of our picks, we just knocked it out of the park, out of the state, and in others we failed. So I trust that this year. By the way, this year is the first time that we had a dedicated scout for NCAA. We had a guy that his job was to track these guys, watch tons of video, and pick. In the past, we rely ourselves on the showcase, which we don't have anymore, and on the agents to provide the information for the players. This time, we actually did our homework, and I expect Ricardo Moreira once again to deliver a great showcase of players, because we only get three picks this year, and I believe that they're gonna be very good.
Do you have any idea of some of the targets? Any names or not
Unfortunately,
yet?
I wrote, like I said,
No.
I wrote them down. I
Right.
lost
I
them.
know there's this left back of Clemson,
Thor.
that I think, the guys from Lions blog. If you guys haven't followed Lions blog, check them out. They're good guys. Also Orlando Lions Den too. I want to say hello to them as well. Um,
Okay, I'm
you
gonna go to
know,
the prospects here, if you
right.
allow me.
No, that's fine. In the meantime, I know there was a question about Facu time.
Oh,
There you go.
absolutely.
Right there, right? There was a question about Facundo Torres, right there. He's right there, live in a breathing presence right there.
Yes.
Uh
Tomorrow, it's where we are expecting the official announcement. As you can see there, Jorge Nierenberg, which is a reporter very well respected in Uruguay. Tomorrow, Orlando City. I can see what the word is
yeah,
on
let
the.
me let me take it out. There you
Okay.
go.
Send the tomorrow, Orlando City, which is today. Send the offer, the official offer for Facundo Torres. If he has the same conditions that we agreed verbally, the
It's
sale is gonna go
it's
through.
sealed and delivered.
Right, absolutely. The player, it's very calm, and I would like to share from my contact in the Facundo Torres camp. By the way, there's somebody out claiming that they are talking to this person. It's not true. If you're gonna, my friend, if you're gonna copy my tweets verbatim, please give me credit. I mean, I don't mind sharing the information, like I said before. I don't care, but don't say that you're talking to this person. Please don't. That's dishonest. Okay, so the person says he basically sent. If you saw the picture, he sends me this little gif of a kid dancing because he's all excited. This person, he says, "Hello, yesterday there was a meeting between the board of directors of Peñarol, urgent meeting," he says, and unanimously they voted in favor of the sale. The only thing that is lacking is for Orlando City to send all the documentation, all the papers, for them to sign. Once the signing goes through, we obviously have the process of getting the immigration paperwork done for the player. Facundo Torres, as you guys know, is suffering from COVID. He has to have
Right.
two negative tests before he can actually be admitted into the United States. He has to be fully vaccinated, which I believe he is. But all that has to happen, and obviously he has to get all his affairs in order. Like we said last time, Facundo Torres is uprooting his life. There's a lot of pieces that need to fall through, but this person told me that tomorrow, Tuesday, they expect to announce. Uruguay is 2 hours ahead, so maybe by the time we wake up, the news is gonna be official.
Yeah, so let's hope for the Mark Thor photo. I want to say hello to Mark Thor, who's a great photographer, as well as Area Sports Network. We're also live in their channel. Check them out, Area Sports Network on YouTube. Click the notification bell for Area Sports. They talk about, everything MLS, Area Sports on Twitter, Area Sports on Facebook. And then don't forget, if you love the content, we're going to get better. We're going to get guests. We're probably going to get players. I'm going to say hello to Orlando City Communications as well. We're going to try to, have also the fans, right? We're going to send the link so you can join live with us. It will be great to talk to every single one of you, to for you guys to kind of express your sentiment and your voice and use this show as a window that you guys can actually express yourself. That'll be completely fine with us. I think that's
Mhm.
the core of this podcast. And a lot of pride, Orlando, and on YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell for all notifications. Por favor, Facebook as well, live right now on the Loud and Proud Facebook and on Twitter at LPO underscore podcast. And you can follow me on my Instagram and Twitter. I'm under at Pineda underscore ORL. You can follow Dave as well as at Florida Man underscore 76. And then Tiro de Esquina, right, Dave?
Absolutely. Tiro de Esquina on Twitter. It's at Tiro guion bajo, Tiro underscore City. I'm so used to saying it in Spanish. Tiro underscore City. And on Instagram, we are at Tito Podcast. So Thursday, we're already going to be recording, Kenneth and I. Obviously, we're going to be talking about all the things that you already know and the super draft and all this other stuff. We expect a lot of downloads from Uruguay. So we definitely want to try to do our best to showcase our club for the first time to all these new fans. Luis, if you allow me real quick, I just want to go
Sure.
over this list. 2015 on the first round, Kyle Aaron from the University of Connecticut. Second round, um, with the pick number 22, Connor Donovan, it's from North Carolina State. Right now, he's in Sacramento in the USL Championship. Third round with the pick number 43, Earl Edwards Jr., goalkeeper. Right now, he is with New England Revolution 2 in the USL League One. He came from UCLA. In the fourth round with the 63rd pick, Sidney Rivera from the University of Old Dominion. Right now, he's playing for Morris Elite Soccer Club in USL League Two, and he also had
Oh,
10
man.
caps with the Puerto Rican national team. 2016 first pick with first round. I'm sorry, seventh pick overall, Ricci La Rea from the University of Akron, like we said. 13th, Haji Berry, forward from the University of Central Florida. Right now, he is with Colorado Switchbacks of the USL Championship. He was the Golden Boot of USL Championship last year. Second round, we had no picks. Third round, with the pick number 48, Antonio Matarazzo, midfielder from Columbia University. Right now, he has no club. I'm assuming that his career is probably over. Fourth round with the 68th pick, Tobina Uzo, a forward from Coastal University of Coastal Carolina University, and right now he is with FC Tucson, USL League One. In 2017, we had no picks in the first, second, or third round, and in the 64th pick in the fourth round, we had Danny Deacon with from the University of South Carolina. Right now, he is brace yourselves at Rossington, Maine. This is a team in the 10th division of English football, the Northern Counties East League. 2018 first round with the sixth pick, Chris Mueller, forward from Wisconsin. Followed on the 2019 third pick, Santiago Patiño from the FIU. Right now he's with San Antonio in the USL
Yeah.
Championship. Second round of that same year, with the 27th pick, Kamal Miller, who we lost sadly to the
Good.
expansion. He's playing with Montreal, has 18 caps with the University of I'm sorry, with the national team of Canada. He came from Syracuse University. That same year, 38th pick, Tommy Madden, midfielder from Charlotte, has no team at the moment. 59th pick, Scott DeVos, defender from Denver, has no team at the moment. And with the 96th pick on the fourth round, we passed. We didn't pick anybody. In 2020, first pick, with our first pick, it was the number 5 overall, Daryl Dickey from the University of Virginia, who was
What
also
a pick.
West Brom. I always still tell people Miami had the chance twice to pick this man, and they didn't. Then in the second round, we had with the 31st pick, Joey Desart, midfielder from Wake Forest, who remains with the team. 39th pick, Jonathan Dean from UCF. And right now he is with Birmingham Legion in the USL Championship. Pick 44, Austin Avicia, who is from Providence University, goalkeeper. Right now he's with the Richmond Kickers in USL League One. And I'm
Mm.
finishing, I promise. And
Jeez.
in the third count, at the third
You
round,
started looking like Don Garber.
yeah, in the 2020 third round, 57th pick, Nick O'Callahan, FIU, and right now he's with the South Georgia Tormenta, USL League One, and that, my friends, have been all the men who have been had their name called on the Super Draft by Mr. Don Garber himself, and given the precious Orlando City scarf.
Yeah, so guys, I want to thank you to Gamma Knife. I want to thank Thomas Dupree. I want to thank Jim D. Yeah, Miami burned their entire roster to the ground. That's right.
That's
Everybody
a
has
story for
left.
another day.
But let me tell you something. They are making space for 2023, guys. Don't sleep on that because their target is Lionel Andres Messi and Luis Suarez with his wives and his kids. They're coming to South Beach. So apparently that's what's cooking. It's in Messi's clause, PSG's contract, that on 2023 if he has an offer from the MLS, he can just go and play in the MLS. So just keep that in mind. That's what they're thinking. I don't know if that model's gonna work though for that long, because Messi's production has gone down a lot. It's not the same Messi. Age hits you, and I know that you could be the best in the world, but sometimes right now for me, soccer is a collective sport. And you see it on teams right now. RB Leipzig, FC Augsburg in Germany playing great at great level against top teams there. So thank you to Gamma Knife, Thomas Dupree, Jim D, Victor Rivera. You have Joshua Tall, Leandro Fonseca. Am I forgetting something? Jesus Gamundi, of course. Everyone that's been on the chat, just leaving their comments. We're gonna Pavaos también, yeah, for Pavaos also. Thank you so much. We're gonna be sending we're gonna be active in social media. Add us is right here. Again, YouTube. Click the notification bell, Facebook, and also Twitter at LPR Podcast. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next Monday at 8:30 p.m. Every Monday, 8:30. And also, if there's any news that are like last minute, we're gonna see if we can try to do another live stream for sure. I know the Facundo Torres deal is coming up, so vamos Orlando, right, David?
Vamos Orlando
Vamos,
always.
let's go. Thank you.